Want to remodel your kitchen or bathroom but don't want to spend a lot of money? Learn how to get the look of natural stone for way less. We replaced an ugly ceramic tile bathroom vanity for a client using our natural Carrara marble pattern, and we'll show you all the steps involved, from fabrication to installation. That's all coming up, so keep watching. So this is the template that we made from our client's vanity. We already went to their house, we put out all the strips and glued them all together to make this template here, so that way we know exactly where everything is. We have everything written down for all their measurements, so we know where everything is and we know the exact size that we want to make this. We ripped this piece of MDF, this is just a piece of MDF we ripped, which is the exact measurements. The reason why this is kind of off fit is because we are going to have this drop edge here, and we're just going to have that drop over there. We also made sure with the measurements to just sort of have a certain amount of distance taken into account so that the client's molding that is up against the wall, it doesn't butt up against that, or doesn't have a problem where we go to the day of and then we go there and find out that the molding is blocking the counter. So we made sure to measure for that. This spare piece is going to be our drop edge here. We're just going to make sure that is flush there. With our pencil, sort of shift that over. Then what you want to do is you want to make sure that when you're measuring this, you're using this as a guide for your pencil, so it gets nice and the crisp edge straight up against here, and it's a clean straight edge to here. No need for a ruler. Just take this and sort of go up along the edge. And then what I like to do is I get a nice X sort of going along the scrap part here that we're going to be cutting off, just to make sure that we get the right one cut off and the saw blade width on the scrap edge side and not this side. That way this is just the perfect crisp length to this edge. Now that we marked the edge, we cut to length on the miter saw. Now that we have the right size, we spread Titebond wood glue along the edge and press the piece to the board. When spreading the glue, you don't need a paintbrush. A paint stick or a popsicle stick will work just fine. I then marked the next edge to length, trimmed that on the miter saw, and glue it to the board as well. I'm now taping the template to the board so it doesn't shift around while I'm making my marks. We need to cut out the holes for the sink, and the template will tell me exactly where to cut. Our template measures right to the edge of the sink, but this is an overmount sink, so the hole will be too large. In order to compensate for this, I grab a compass and set it to 3/4 of an inch and Scribe a line for the sinkhole. To fit the jigsaw blade, I need a starter hole, so I'm drilling it in with a bit that is just the same width as my jigsaw blade. This allows me to put the jigsaw in and start cutting. Once cut, I chuck a sanding drum into my drill and sand the edges of the hole smooth. I like to use a router with an 1/8 inch roundover bit to the edges. This adds a professional look to the piece. It also allows the epoxy to flow over the edge better. If this was an undermount sink, this would be crucial to get that natural stone look with the pattern continuing seamlessly onto the edges. I'm using a 3/8 inch roundover bit on the counter edges on both the top and bottom to give a half-nose edge that our client wanted. Now I'm mixing the epoxy at a 1:1 ratio, with enough for 3 ounces per square foot of my project. I used the drill and mixed for about 2 minutes. I added white base tint to the epoxy and mixed for just a little more. I pour the epoxy out evenly onto the board and start mixing the epoxy on the board using a 1/8 inch by 1/8 inch square notch trowel. I do this just to make sure the epoxy is mixed thoroughly so it won't have any issues in the curing process. Now I'm spreading the epoxy out with my trowel evenly across the surface. I take a 2-inch chop brush and am chopping out the surface in a random pattern. This further mixes the epoxy and helps to hide the trowel lines I made. I'll torch the surface to pop any bubbles, and it is now ready to add the effects. Using the same chop brush, I added paint from a can of Rustoleum hammered bronze onto the board. Notice how this brown spray paint actually looks gray on the surface. I learned this trick by accident once when I swapped paint caps, and it's now been a highly requested look by clients. A torch and a heat gun help to move the effects around a little and soften the brush stroke so it doesn't look man-made. Notice how I layered out the backsplashes next to my board. This allowed me to ensure that all of my effects will line up once it's installed. I'm drizzling just a little more white epoxy over the board using a small stick. This adds another layer of realism to my pattern. I came back an hour later and am spraying a white marble spray effect. This adds subtle fracture lines to the piece. Well, we're here on the day of install at our client's bathroom. This is their guest bathroom. They wanted us to put a nice countertop and backsplash into their vanity. So we have just recently swapped out this new outlet for the old outlet. What we do for our clients is, if they have an outlet cut out, we tend to get an outlet cover for them, nice one, and we epoxy coat it with the same pattern of whatever their backsplash is. That way we can put it in and it's just seamless, disappears even more evenly, doesn't poke out at you as much. That way it's just out of sight, doesn't bother you. If we did that with one such as that, it does still work, still looks nice, but it's not as nice as if we had one here like this, which is just the box cut out, no bridge in between, and that way the outlet cover is just this rectangular cutout. Looks much more realistic like stone, looks much better than the other outlet. So we decided to swap that out. I like to dry fit the counter just to make sure everything fits. The template is good, so it all fits perfectly. So, I use a silicone adhesive and a caulk gun to glue the countertop to the cabinet. I make all the backsplashes a little longer than needed so I can trim it to the exact length on site on installation day. And that is now a perfect fit, so I dot the back with silicone adhesive. I use the dot method since no wall is perfectly square. This way the adhesive will just hit against the high points of the wall and everything stays straight. So what we just did here is we taped off the amount that would be the rough size of this outlet here. Now, the way that we did this is we just sort of put it up against the wall and measured about, for these length, what's the right size to put these ones here. However, for these ones that are running against it horizontally, we needed to get our tape measurer and measure there. Then once we've done that, we just sort of hook that on there to the right amount. We froze it. One of us held this in place while we taped off these two, and that way we have this nice outlet-shaped hole on our board. So we're going to be cutting that out, and we're going to put that there. They'll stick out. We'll just put the outlet cover there. It'll work great. The reason why we're using tape on this instead of, say, pencil is we're going to be mainly making the cut from the top of this, not from the bottom. We're going to want to make sure we're doing it from this vantage, and if we did pencil, it would just slick off the epoxy and it wouldn't really leave a mark. So we're just using tape instead. Much better mark, stays in place. I drill a starter hole in opposite corners, then use a jigsaw to cut out the hole for the outlet. Everything fits, so we are dotting silicone adhesive to the backsplash and we press it up against the wall. It will look great with the outlet cover we epoxied to match. To seal everything, I am laying down painter's tape on either side of where the caulk will go. This allows me to run a bead of caulk down the middle. I will smooth that out with my finger, and after I pull the tape back off, I am left with a crisp line that gives a professional look. We drop the second sink in and hook everything up. I will run a bead of caulk around the sink edges and you can see how it turned out here. This really dressed up the space, and the best part is, our client saved a lot of money this way. Do you like our content? Let us know! If there are other types of videos you would like to see in the future, tell us in the comments below. And be sure to press the like button and subscribe to our channel. And share this video with all your friends. And from all of us here at STONETHETIC, built by you, built for less, built to last, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching!